Love Yours, an experimental podcast. Welcome back to another episode of Love Yours, an experimental podcast. I'm your host, Charlotte Chidera, and this is season 3, episode 7. Jeez, we're almost there, you know. It's going so quick. If you've just joined for the first time, please go back to episode 1 and listen back, because otherwise this isn't going to make much sense. But Love Yours is an experiment. It's me reading Black authors' books and trying to apply them to my life, while you hopefully learn from some of my own personal lessons and story. So last episode we was talking about enjoying the season. Ironically, because I've been in my feelings. I've honestly been in my feelings recently. I met my first crush/casual since my last core shaker. I think I spoke about them briefly on a previous episode, and they've just spun my head, honestly, and I'm not enjoying the season of this. But it's good timing, because as I carry on reading, it's reaffirming to me why I'm feeling so emotional about this, considering they are a casual. And Chidera basically talks about the feeling of wanting to be loved. And she says it's okay. It's okay to want to be loved. I mean, to be honest, I don't know a human on this earth who doesn't want to be loved. Feeling loved is one of the most powerful feelings in the world. It's why it's so important that when children are young, they feel loved. Because it helps your confidence, your self-esteem, how secure you feel, how protected you feel, how happy you feel. It filters into every feeling pretty much. And Chidera talks about when we close ourselves off, it is a form of self-protection because of previous pain and hurt. Oh, my course shakers have really messed me up, honestly. I mean, I don't know who messed me up the worst, but I definitely have had consistent letdowns, consistent frustrations, consistent neglect, and consistent abuse. Never sexually from a core shaker, but definitely mentally and physically. And I actually remember, if I look back on it, that with each core shaker, my barrier went up a little bit more, my expectations went up a little bit more, and my tolerance went down a little bit more. Like when I think back to my first core shaker, I put up with the most insane things that I would never put up with now. And when I think about my most recent core shaker, they definitely had the toughest code to crack. But even after that ended, I now have even more expectations, barriers, and less tolerance. It's so hard to not become cynical when you've had multiple failed core shakers. And I also feel like now I'm a mother, 2 kids, my career's booming. Like, do I really need someone in my life right now? Do I really have the time? But Chidera stresses that you should not feel ashamed of pursuing love. And it's such a first world problem, but I've always felt like I need someone else to feel complete. Oh, just saying it even makes me cringe, I'm not gonna lie. But I just love having that person to share my life with. Good news, bad news, funny news. Maybe it's because I love to share, but not having that one person is so difficult. It's probably why my best friend has got absolute overload from me in the last 9 months. I mean, she hasn't complained, but it's because my previous core shaker I shared everything with. Like, when I say everything, I mean everything. Sometimes I'd still be on the call getting the information, and I'd be texting them as I'm getting that information. So I definitely need to work on my now shame I feel around pursuing love, because I feel like maybe it's not for me, it's not in the cards for me, I don't deserve it, I've had it and lost it, but I still want it. I do, I really do. I grew up on Disney. My favourite movie as a kid was Aladdin. The way Aladdin is obsessed with Jasmine, and obviously initially not in a good way, because he even lies to try and win her around, which I don't want that. I want genuine authenticity, but I want that fairy tale. I want that person who looks at me and feels like I will do anything to be with this person because they are amazing. And then they get to know me and they're like, oh my God, I need this person in my life, because not only do they look amazing, but they are just amazing inside and out. I feel like that's how Aladdin feels about Jasmine. Or maybe just in my fairy tale, but I want my Prince Aladdin. And I feel so vulnerable talking about this. And it makes sense why, because Chidera says that we see the need to be loved as weak or needy, because everyone these days are about bounce back, hide your feelings, on to the next one, catch me outside. All of them lines. Like, it's so harsh. Even now, like I said with my casual, we was only talking for just under 4 weeks, but it was such an intense 4 weeks that I'm still in my feelings about this. He is living in my head rent free throughout the day. It's so frustrating. And part of me wants to tell him, but then also from how he's acted towards me, I just don't need to get more hurt. I feel like I've already been quite vulnerable with him, to be honest. But I'm not mad at it. I'm glad I was. Because at least I'll be able to look back on it as I authentically gave everything that I could and it just was not reciprocated, rather than, oh, I acted like I wasn't really bothered, but I was. Oh, I'm bothered. I'm really bothered. My girl is so sick of me moaning about this, but I'm bothered. I told her, I'm sick of me moaning about it, but I'm bothered. I can't hide the feelings. Apparently that's a good thing. I mean, not for me. I wear my heart on my sleeve, but apparently people who hide their feelings are in more pain than those who cry it out. Now, I wouldn't say I'm so much in my feelings that I've had to cry it out, but I've definitely dropped the odd tear or two. And not even when thinking about just the situation with the casual, but just my overall last 9 months of leaving my core shaker and going back into the dating world. And it's a lot, but I'm glad I'm still able to feel. I'm glad I'm still able to catch feelings, to be upset by someone. I genuinely for a while thought, you're never going to meet anyone again. You're never going to like anyone again. It's just not going to work. You either have to go back to your core shaker or be alone. And I'm glad that I feel things so deeply and so fully, because when you silence yourself, you become used to feeling numb. I don't want to get used to that. I like that tummy flip, butterflies, can't eat, can't sleep, so dramatic, inconvenient. I'm not going to quote Sex and the City again, but that's what I want. That's what I need. And that's what I will carry on pursuing until I get there, because honestly, I don't want to settle for less, and I don't have to. Maybe if I get to my 60s and I'm still single, I might settle. But for now, life is so full and busy that love is just a bonus. And so it should really feel 100% right. So in reference to last week's episode, I just need to be in the season that I am in right now and accept it for being dry and lonely and painful. Another thing Chidera stresses about silencing your feelings is that the more you silence them, the less happiness you have room for, because of the limited emotions you're tapping into. That one is deep. So I guess what she's meaning is like, it's always easier to connect to a common feeling. So for me, that would be tiredness. Every single day, without fail, no matter how busy or not busy, the tiredness never goes away. But apparently, the more often you tap into a feeling, the easier it is to access that feeling. It makes sense, you know, because where I've been in my feelings recently, quite sad, and I've been listening to a lot of R&B, it's just been making me more sad. I've just been feeling more sad. Every time I hear an R&B song, it just triggers that sadness. So that does make sense, that if you're constantly tapping into the same feelings, the same emotions, you will not have the room for the other positive, more helpful emotions. And Chidera says that you just need to make peace and live in how you feel, so you have room to experience the opposite. I mean, I don't know how long this period of sadness is going to last for me, but at least I will know when I'm not sad anymore. I will definitely know, because prior to feeling sad, I definitely felt excited and happy and giddy, and you know, all those things that when you just meet someone and you just fully throw yourself into it. I felt all of those things. So maybe it will take another 4 weeks to get over the 4 weeks of what was happiness. And I guess it's just accepting similar to last episode, the season I'm in right now, the feelings I'm in right now, and knowing that they won't last forever, and also making sure I leave space for room to experience the opposite. I mean, I already consciously am. Got such a full week ahead. I'm going to be around colleagues, associates, friends. I'm going to be out this week. So I'm already trying to just feel where I can with more positive things, more positive mentality, whether that's to do with career or personal or the kids. Even today, I tried to have a very mindful day with my son. So I guess it's all about embracing whatever the feeling is in the moment, but knowing and making room for those feelings to change in a more positive way. And I feel like these pages, to summarize, are basically wanting love, wanting to feel loved, wanting to connect, wanting to have that hope that there is that person out there for you. I want love. I do. I want a partner. I want someone to share my life with. Especially because I know once these kids grow up, they're already so independent, they are not going to stick around me. And it's okay to want those things. It's okay to vocalize wanting those things. I just now need to learn how to action them. Because I mean, at the moment, I'm still doing so much work on myself between this podcast and therapy and a few other things that I'm not really allowed to talk about, but I definitely want love. I want it, so I will get it. It's not optional, and I think we'll leave it there. So thank you so much for listening, as always. Make sure to follow, subscribe, like, tell a friend. I wonder what page you're on in What a Time to Be Alone. Let me know, drop me a message, and I'll talk to you on the next episode. Love Yours, an experimental podcast